Many cities will become greener and smarter in the coming years. In these cities, there will be fewer cars on the road and public transport will continue to grow, digitalized, optimized, and more flexible. But will these benefits apply to all users? Using public transport can be difficult for some, especially for people with reduced mobility.
For people with buggies, in wheelchairs or with walking aids, a lot has been already achieved in recent years to enable them to travel without barriers. There has been a switch to low-floor vehicles that can be further lowered for step-free access. Stops have also been converted to be barrier-free. The daily challenges faced by blind and visually impaired people have received comparatively little attention so far. For them, it is difficult to see which bus is approaching a station, where the entrances are, which seat is free, or how to signal you want to get off. In a lot of cases, drivers currently help with these difficulties. In the next few years, however, autonomous electric shuttles will be used increasingly. And since these operate without a driver, there will be no longer any human assistance for passengers with disabilities.
In order to improve the use of public transport, especially for visually impaired and blind people, the Siemens Accessibility Competence Center conducted a series of workshops as part of the Living Innovation project. Together with affected people, technicians and scientists, needs and problems were identified and ideas for a barrier-free smartphone app that supports blind and visually impaired people in using public transport was developed. The basic idea behind the app is that all buses, trams, underground trains, taxis, traffic lights and lifts wirelessly communicate with the app, thus turning the smartphone into a mobility assistance for blind and visually impaired people in public spaces. This provides information that they might struggle to see. For example, which floor a lift is located on, which bus is currently approaching a station, or whether a passing taxi is free. And users can also activate functions such as calling a lift or requesting a stop on a bus. In addition, finding sounds can be activated at stations entrances and exits, underground stations or shopping centers. With all these functions available on the smartphone, a blind or visually impaired user can avoid the tedious search for and operation of buttons on buses, trams and lifts. The smartphone thus becomes a universal information and control unit that helps visually impaired users to move safely. Therefore, it needs a user interface that is as simple and robust as possible.
Supported by the findings of the Living Innovation project, the first version of such an app was developed and is already being tested in Paderborn. It communicates with buses and currently offers three main functions. First, when you are waiting at the bus stop, the app's radar function alerts you, both by voice and visually, which bus is approaching and where it is going. Second, when getting on or getting off the bus, you can request that the bus is lowered and trigger an acoustic signal to find the door. And third, the app also supports you during the journey, providing information about which stops are coming next and what connections there are. You can conveniently submit your stop request via the app. In the German city of Paderborn, the Smart Mobility app was trialed for the first time in a larger test environment. All of the city's approximately 100 buses were equipped with Bluetooth in January 2020, via which they communicate directly with the app. Several blind and visually impaired people tested the app during their daily journeys over more than 12 months. In March 2021, first acoustic traffic lights in the city area were equipped with Bluetooth on a test basis and integrated into the app. The usefulness of this tool became particularly apparent during the COVID-19 pandemic, during which time the front bus door remained locked and contact with the driver was not possible. The app was further optimized through intensive evaluation, and it has been available free of charge in app stores under the name Pader Sprinter Compass app since May 2021.
But what if you're traveling in another city? If every city and every transport company develops its own app, there would be a constant need to switch between them. Additionally, the integration of other means of public transport, such as taxis or lifts, can only succeed if the communication interfaces are standardized. A standard is therefore needed for the whole of Germany, for Europe, or ideally even for the whole world. And this standard should cover technical aspects, but also the user experience.
Within the framework of the Live in Innovation project, Siemens has already initiated and promoted a DIN standard. The draft DIN 13278, Smart Mobility for Persons with Reduced Mobility, Functional Approaches, is planned to be published. This standard enables cross-sectoral cooperation between transport operators and the various manufacturers of public transport, such as bus, trams, metros, trains, taxis and lifts. The aim is to make mobility more inclusive for people with special needs all over Europe.
But it goes much further than that, because wide use benefits many more people, such as those who can't speak the local language. With this app, you can easily use public transport in a city even if you don't speak the language or maybe even can't read the writing. For example, Europeans traveling in Asia. This wide application shows that inclusive innovation is not just about addressing people with special needs, but that a good idea can bring great additional benefit to everyone.
If you would like to find out the latest information about the standard and its implementation, please visit the Live in Innovation website.